A lot of political channels here on YouTube are BS. Mostly because, in my mind, they try too hard to be people pleasing to the political atmosphere. Me, I make no bones about who I want. And I'm willing to call out the fact that sites like channels like Red Eagle Politics, Clear Eagle Politics, and so forth, most of the data that have is closer than it really is between Trump and Harris are not as close as people say they say it is, because they're going off left overkill mainstream media left wing polls. Or what I view how it's playing out is how I'm saying it plays out. More hard right wing lean bias, I'll admit, yes. But here's how I see things playing out. Okay, we know that Harris is going to take Washington, California, Hawaii, Illinois, New York, at least at this point, Vermont, Maine on the whole, and its first district, with maybe Nebraska second, but not by much. Maryland, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Delaware, Connecticut, and DC. Those are the easy gimmies for her. Now, her and Tim Walz. By contrast with Trump and Vance, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, sorry. Nebraska at large, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, South Carolina, Alabama, Ohio, Iowa, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Dakota and Alaska. Alaska, Florida, and Florida. Here's the thing you need to learn, and the second and Maine's second district. Here's the thing you need to know about these media outlets. Many of them are hardcore Democrat left leaning swine. And even those that lean to the right, it's more towards the globalist right, not the national populist right. I'm referring to those on Fox News that still lean more left and because they hate Trump because he's a political outsider. That being said, and we can also loosely give Kamala and Walz Colorado, but not by much. And maybe give her Oregon, but that lead is starting to slip. I think it can actually flip to Trump, but just barely. So what about the rest of the states? Well, we can give North Carolina to Trump fairly easily. And with the new paper ballot rule in effect in both Georgia and Virginia, I don't expect Harris and Walz to get Virginia as easily as Biden did because of voter fraud and the fact that it was announced so fucking quickly that Biden won Virginia. You knew there was some run in Denmark back then. Now that won't be the case, or at least that's what I'm hoping. Virginia is going to flip. This would put Trump and Vance 14 out from winning the election. All he would need is a combination of Michigan alone, Pennsylvania and Georgia alone, or a combination of Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Arizona, New Hampshire, Nevada, New Hampshire, and one other state. And Trump would have any combination like that would get him the W, would net Trump the win. Hey, Raph. And now that Georgia's election integrity committee is run by MAGA Republicans, there's no way a dirty trick like what was pulled last time is going to swing Georgia back, keep Georgia in the Democrat favor. So we're going to flip this back to GOP red. And this would be enough to give Trump the win alone, 272. But that said, for the heck of it, let's just give Kamala back Oregon, but she doesn't win it by much. It would be 264 to 180 at this point. Trump would still need a swinger. I could see him actually taking New Jersey. See, and New Hampshire this time around, which would put him at 282. He's up big in Nevada, so we'll give him that. And given how people in Minnesota are pissed at Governor Walz and how much of an asshole he was and how much of an anti-Semitic pig he is, people pleaser he is, this could be the key that flips Minnesota to the GOP. Then you give a slight edge in Wisconsin and Michigan to Trump. Arizona goes back to Trump on a sufficient margin, especially if they switch to paper ballots, but I'm not sure if they will. Then you give Pennsylvania to Trump, and out of pity, I'll give Kamala and Walz New Mexico, though barely. I'll give her a likely in Colorado. In most of my other videos, I've basically kept Oregon, and I've usually given Oregon and New Mexico to Trump. But why do I do that? Well, it's simple. It's a cutoff. Think of it like this. The North to Mid-Atlantic, and Pacific coasts have always been a Democrat stronghold. But if one of those, as well as certain parts around the Tex-Mex, the Pan-American border, the southern border, specifically the areas around California and New Mexico, have always been a power base for the Democrats. And let's also take away that one district in Nebraska. Go for the hell of it. I've always had around on average 367 to 171 in favor of Trump. But why cut these particular spots off with Harris losing Oregon, New Mexico, Virginia, and New Jersey? New Jersey and New Hampshire. Well, it's simple. It cuts off the rest of the standard of the status quo power bases for the Democrats. If these areas are cut off, then Trump would have this all sewn up in about 11 weeks. And then when it's all said and done, what's going to happen? Answer: the death of the deep state. At this point, if the DNC doesn't convince people to vote for Harris and Walz, and trust me, it's not going to, the people are finally coming around to realizing Trump was right all along. Many members of the Democrat Party sold our country out for cheap, this nation out for cheap. This is the worst possible outcome for the deep state players on both sides of the political aisle. And this could be what leads to their death sentence. Trump cutting off their power base spots completely. Heck, I could even see Trump winning Maine at large. Taking it taking that away from the deep state players. So 369 to 169. And these states are clean, and once the major cities in the country are cleaned up, across the country are cleaned out, America will be the powerhouse it once used to be before Obama, till until a certain fox was let in the henhouse, that being Obama. And then Trump will track him down, have him arrested, tried for treason, sentenced to death, and then we can get to work on completely purifying this nation. And I don't mean a racial purification, I mean an ideological purification, i.e., we get rid of the woke doctrine. That's all I've got for today's episode. Comment, like, and subscribe. Goodbye, and good fucking night. Bang.